Corbolic V2. This is a super safe and effective natural anabolic. Not only is this product going to help you increase protein synthesis, which basically means muscle recovery and growth, it also may inhibit myostatin, which is a protein in your body that is known to inhibit muscle growth. This is a complete natural anabolic that works through multiple different pathways, has multiple trademarked ingredients. If you are a natural athlete looking for that edge, Corbolic V2 is what you need. Get yourself some.
Welcome back to the Pro Physique Code, guys. I'm excited because it's another girls' day. I mean, I like Steven, but I always like these ones. We've got Coach Daraja and Coach Danica today, and we're talking baby stuff and pregnancies and everything because Daraja's ready to pop. Well, almost. You're not ready to pop yet. Don't do that.
I'm getting to that point though where I'm like, okay, we got how long? And she's how big? And she's gonna grow more.
Where is she measuring at? Like, have they told you?
She's measuring like a little bit ahead, like around like 1 to 2 weeks ahead of schedule, which is like, okay, cool. Like she's growing, she's healthy. But yeah, I'm like, I feel it. I feel like each week or every other week, I'm like, okay, I definitely feel like she's getting bigger.
Right. Have you started the weekly appointments yet?
We have, yes, so this will be the first of like every 2 weeks I'll go in.
Oh, so I think it might be, is it like 36 weeks, Danica, where they start making you come in every week?
Every week, yeah. But do you have any, do they do like have they done like the 3D ultrasound?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so cool. Because they did it at our 20 weeks. So we had our anatomy scan. And then I asked them, I was like, can we do like a couple of 3D pictures? I was like, want to see her little lips and like her little nose. So we did that, and it actually came out like not super scary looking because she was like some of them can be kind of scary. So yeah, there's one that I have hanging up in our living room because like I just can't. I love seeing it every single day.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And when you go to get your ultrasound done, is it just like the normal ultrasound now every time?
We haven't had one since our 20 week actually.
Okay.
So we'll have one more. Because I'm actually seeing midwives. I'm not seeing like a doctor. Just because that's kind of what I gravitated towards. But she's not like a super like ultrasound trigger happy girl. She's like, we'll do it as needed. And I saw like one like little minor thing that's pretty common to like see. That's like not super concerning, but they just want to check it again at 32 weeks just to like see how it's doing. I can't remember what it's called, otherwise I would tell you guys. But everything has been going. I actually just did my glucose test.
How did that go? I am so happy that I don't have to do that.
I was gonna say, they even mess with you doing that, or
no. And like that's the one time I'm like, thank you, type 1. Like that stuff is nasty.
It surprisingly wasn't. It just tasted like super concentrated Gatorade. I think they've like upped their game with how it tastes.
I've never tried it. I was always a pain in the butt and like didn't do it. And so I did blood, like the pricks, like a week, and then tracked it. And then I can't remember the other time. I think the second time in the Navy, I was just like, I don't want to do that. And they were like, okay, and just left me alone.
I think the biggest reason I was like okay with doing, because obviously like you don't have to do it,
right?
But I know my mom she ended up with gestational diabetes, and she was pregnant with me, and I think preeclampsia as well.
Okay.
So those are like just having those in my family history. I was like, let's just make sure. But I haven't gained a whole lot of weight. My body's definitely different. But
right.
I haven't gained a ton. I've gained like around 15 pounds. So like, and like I've been feeling pretty normal, so I wasn't super concerned. But I just wanted to kind of be sure. So we did it. It was not fun. I wish they had told me, because you can do the 1 hour one with like a 50 gram of glucose drink, and she didn't tell me to fast that morning.
Oh.
And my appointment wasn't until like 10:45, so I was like, I can't go that long without eating. So I
Yeah.
had like a half a bagel and a couple of eggs. And then I had my drink before I left. And then she was like, yeah, you failed the test. And I was like, really? So then she was like, yeah, we need you to come back next week. And it was a 3-hour one. So I had to chug a 100-gram bottle. They took my blood, chugged the 100-gram, and then waited an hour, and then did that every hour for 3 hours. So I was there
Right.
from 8:30 to like noon. And I was like, I hate it here. but,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
passed. So
It's funny because I feel like it's the time thing. Like, I feel like when I started having kids was when people started being like, I'm not going to do that, you know? And
yeah.
because I had like no concerns with it, I was just like, well, I just don't want to sit there forever because that would drive me bonkers. And so when I was able to do it like differently, I was like, sure, why not? Let's like run an experiment on myself. But it's
Yeah.
funny because it did be like the little glucose drink became like the devil, where I was like, don't let them make you drink the glucose drink
I've seen that too, and I'm like, I was like Googling, I was like, is this really a big deal?
while they're chomping on like cereal or whatever's keeping them alive the whole
Cheetos,
time.
right? I'm like, come on. So, I mean, obviously to each their own, but I wasn't super concerned.
Yeah.
Plus, I was like in my mind that this is the worst I have to deal with like this pregnancy, then I am way grateful because,
Mhm.
yeah, I know that it's not always. We've had like nothing but good news this whole time.
Yeah.
Which is good.
And the second one went well, nothing popped up with the second test.
No, everything was perfect, and because I fasted.
You're like, wow, if I just had better directions.
Yeah, and because like the bottle comes with directions on it. I was like, oh, come on.
Oh shit. See, but
Yeah,
your
it didn't say to
third
fast.
trimester people cannot be expected to read this.
No, they
Like,
asked way too much of me. But
like,
yeah.
I love that. Let's see, Danica. Of course, now I'm having a brain fart.
I
So
know.
Oh,
What are some of the, so compared to like second, well, we talked to you during first.
yeah.
mhm.
So after first, you're feeling a lot of movement
Oh
now.
my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like
Talk to us
every
about
hour.
that. What does that feel like?
I honestly, it doesn't get old. Like
Right.
I just every single time, even when I'm like, it seems like right now she's moving like every hour on the hour, even like when I'm sleeping, which is good because that's like what I want. But like even when I'm like, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm like, oh, there she goes, like doing whatever she's doing. I'm like, it's fine, just go for it, have at it, because I'd rather feel her than not feel her moving.
Yeah.
But like now she's obviously, I mean, at 30 plus weeks, like she's obviously big enough where you can like see the feet, like stuff
Yeah.
like rolling around in there. I'm like, that is
Right.
so crazy, or like little kicks pop out. My husband will see like a big one and he's like, whoa. I'm like, I know, it's wild.
At the end, like it gets so crazy. Like as she just gets bigger
Wild.
and bigger, and then you'll like
Yeah.
alien style. I remember like knowing there was no way they could do it, but being like, please don't burst out of me.
Oh my gosh, right? Sometimes like she'll get like right up like where my belly button is, and I'm
Right.
like, it feels like she's trying to leave. I'm like, that's not an exit.
Right.
You can't get out there. But like the only thing that's hard now with like her just like moving around so much, and like I'm not a very tall person and I have a pretty short torso. So I'm like, girl, I know there's not a lot of room in there. And like I sometimes it just feels like she's like sitting right up in my ribs.
Mhm.
Like I can't breathe, I can't eat. Because everything I eat, like I'll take like 3 bites of anything that I'm eating and I'm like, I'm stuffed. But
Yeah.
I'm hungry because like calories. So I drink a lot of my calories now. Like I don't go for like Gatorade Zero anymore, or, like but like 0 calorie drinks. I usually do like the full calorie ones because I like need the carbs.
Yeah.
And like smoothies are love those.
Yep. At this point, just trying to get whatever in. Did your doctor say anything with you just not like gaining on the like the lower end of stuff? Were they concerned at all? Or are they being understanding?
Not really. Just because she's measuring so good.
Yeah.
Like she's, I think maybe all the muscle I had, she's definitely pulled plenty from there. 'Cause I'm like, I feel like my butt and my thighs are like way. I've never seen my body like in this shape before because I've always been like an athlete and like I've always been relatively lean. So like that's definitely different. but I'm like, that protein's all going to a good cause.
Good breast milk.
I hope so. That's like the only thing I'm like, okay, that and like labor now. I'm like, okay, we like made it through some pretty tough like parts. Now I'm just like, okay, I'm actually like, I'll have moments now where I'm like, oh my God, I actually have to like deliver this baby.
Yeah, just don't think about that.
Oh my God. Like I'll be sitting there and I'll look at her picture and I'll feel her like moving and I'm like, yo, this baby's gotta come out.
Like one of those things where you can prepare for it. Like I could sit and read all the birth stories and like have
Yeah.
my plan and ideas and think about stuff very much like in that way. But
Like
I can
logically.
sit and really be like, that has to
Yeah.
come out.
Like it's gonna happen,
Yeah,
but yeah.
it's like
I'm
the perfect rock in a hard place when the time
It
comes.
is. It is. But like it's like once that water breaks and like you're starting labor, it's like okay, that's like we're almost to the end.
Right?
But
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Well,
I love feeling her move. That's easily like my favorite thing.
how are things going with workouts? Because like the first trimester you weren't able to, right?
So so funny. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be when we talked about the first when we did about my first trimester, I had expectations and I was like, okay, once I'm feeling better, like I'll definitely be able to get back into the gym more, like 2 to 3 days minimum a week, like still kind of resistance training, nothing crazy. But I just like was not what was like feeling good for me. And
Yeah.
I'm very much like a listen to your body type of gal. And like part of me was feeling guilty because like obviously social media, you see a lot of moms that post and they're like in the gym still, 3, 4 days a week, resistance training. But every time I tried to do it, I was like so dead tired for days after,
Yeah.
like just exhausted, partially because I like just don't eat my normal
Okay.
anymore. So like the calorie intake's just probably not there, could like in addition to like feeding a baby. Um and then like obviously that means that my work performance I felt like was suffering because I was getting back to clients later because I just needed more sleep or I needed to
Yeah.
nap throughout the day, like 2, 3 hours. I was just like out cold. So I was like, this is just I can't maintain this. Like it's like not a sustainable way for me to do it. So instead of like forcing myself to go to the gym anyway, I just stuck to like body weight stuff in my living room and some yoga, which feels really good for me. So that's kind of like my happy medium now. It's just like I'm still trying to like do like squats and like lunges and stuff to kind of like keep my core, like my muscle connection and stuff there. But I've also like read and heard like squats are just good to like help, get the baby like in a good position too. And like open the hips up and just good for you. That and like I'll do like clamshells like with my little resistance band to like help keep
Yeah.
my core engaged. Like just like stuff to really keep that part of everything solid so that when I am in labor, like I still am able to like connect with those things. But yeah, as far as like being in the gym, as much as I would like to say that I'm one of those like warriors that's just like in the gym 4 days a week training the same, it's just that's not what's
Sometimes it
happening.
just doesn't work. Like no matter how
Absolutely.
much you want it to be. And like, I'm so glad that you didn't let like the different pressures make you like
Yeah.
go, because I think a lot of people would do that where it's like, well, I'm supposed to and I have to. And then you just end up feeling like shit. And then they look back on pregnancy and it's like, well, that sucked because I was always exhausted. And there's like things that we could have just done differently because
Yeah, and it's temporary. Like it's not like I'm never gonna go back to the gym, but I think obviously for what I need for right now, like my little home workouts and yoga are like doing the job.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There was a client that I had that she got pregnant while training with me and then progressed until I think we were around like 6 months, but we were doing 5 times a week and then it was 3 times a week. And then she was like, Danica, I just can't. Like I just can't. And I feel like I'm failing. And I'm like, girlfriend,
Yeah.
if like fouling means like building a human inside of you, that's just weird. Like we're
Yeah.
not going to equate that to like that's not fouling at all. You're growing a humans, and you're not fouling at all. Like you guys said, it's totally temporary, and we completely shifted I was like, I just want you to move when you want to move. Like
That's
when
pretty
you
much
feel
where I'm
good
at. Yeah.
and move when you want to move. And that's plenty. Like don't push yourself and so that you're like miserable in the gym. That's not fun at all. And it's not a good workout. It's not effective and your body isn't responding well anyways. So don't do it.
It can be like such a nice reset for like our relationship with those kinds of things too. I think if we give ourselves that space where it's like, okay, the thing that makes sense is for me to step back here and for you to just like rest and take care of you and baby girl, right? And then it like gives you that time. It's like the whole absence makes the heart grow fonder thing where like eventually you're going to be itching to go back. Like you're not going to all of a sudden be like, you know what, guys, that was a fun phase of my life, but like, I'm
like
over
hanging
it
it
now.
up. I'm done.
Right.
Yeah,
And
no.
like it'll come. And I think what you're doing at home is also going to be fantastic for helping to manage like expectations of what you're going to be able to do over the next like 1 year to 2 years potentially, like depending on how things go. You know, there are days where you can't take the baby to the gym daycare or whatever, and you have to do it at home. And so all of that is just going to support like making it easier in the future. And like the key is just grace. And I feel like that's what so many moms just try to go into it like very tightly managing everything and like, oh no, I'm not going to be the one who lets it change anything. And it's like, girlfriend, everything's changed. Like from the second you got pregnant, it's changed.
Yeah, and it's okay. I think like especially now too when I feel like there's obviously again like on Instagram or like TikTok, like there's plenty of moms that are posting like I'm still like doing X, Y, and Z even though, you know, I have a baby now, like you can do it like too and like yeah, that's fine, but like don't make it feel like or don't let it make you feel like you're failing because you're not doing exactly that. Like everybody's experience and journey in motherhood is like gonna be different as it should be. And I think like the important thing is to just remember like it's good to have like a community of I think moms that encourage you to kind of prioritize yourself and maintain your fitness, but don't let it like don't let it freak you out and like give you anxiety. You
Yeah.
know?
That's what always stresses me or like concerns me when if I'll talk to somebody who's like newly pregnant or something and the big concern is weight. And it's like, don't let that
Always.
overshadow like the experience and things like that. Because I mean, and not everybody's going to love pregnancy. I get that. I saw actually, was it one of your questions? It might have been somebody else's, where somebody asked if feeling the baby move, like if that had given the person a bunch of anxiety. And then the person had said, like, I'm afraid to get pregnant because I can't have the feeling of like an alien inside me. And I was like, I never thought of it that way.
Oh my gosh. No, but I have heard that before. I've heard people and I'm like, yeah, well, I mean that's a
But it
big
feels
part
like
of pregnancy. It's like
Yeah.
having this baby inside you and it's gonna move and it should move. But yeah, I mean obviously I have friends too that are like, I just know for a fact that pregnancy is not for me and like I don't want to be a mom. I'm like,
Yeah.
great, that's fine. Because there's like I'm always gonna be someone that I think as much as I can, I like to smile through a lot of things. Like I don't like to focus on a lot of discomfort or like negatives. Because there's always gonna be negative things to like, you know, like I can't do as much. I don't feel up to doing as much as I used to. Keith goes on hikes, he goes without me because I just like cannot bring myself to like do that, sit in a car for 2 hours, go up to the mountains and like and hike and then sit in the car for 2 hours and come back. No ma'am. And like even just like the littlest things, I go to the grocery store now. Like some days I'm just like, dude, I am exhausted and I literally just got here, walked down one aisle. So yeah, I could focus on that, but like again, like you said, like you don't want it to take away from the experience of growing this human. Like, yeah, there's definitely things that like are not as fun. Like the 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 way my food or drinks like sit in my throat because they like can't go down. I'm like, oh my gosh, the amount of times I have to pause client response videos now because I'm like burping. I'm like, I'm so sorry. But yeah, like going up and down the stairs, hate it. But it's okay because
It's
she's
okay.
yeah.
What's one thing that has happened during your pregnancy that like you weren't expecting?
That's honestly a tough one. Cause I like definitely went into this very open-minded, like whatever happens kind of happens kind of thing. I like
Right.
didn't want to put that much pressure on myself. But I think honestly, I was just, I mean, knock on wood, up to this point, like I said, like we've had nothing but, you know, pretty good news. Like I'm healthy, baby's healthy. I was expecting, I guess, to kind of like not get that, but probably mentally, that's probably just me mentally preparing myself to like,
Yeah.
you know, be prepared to hear something that might not be easy to hear in case we do hear it. So, but other than that, honestly, like, because I'm also a very like, I like to research things.
Yeah, you probably knew a lot going into it.
So I knew, yeah, and I had like, and there was a lot that I was looking into and looking up, like, as we were like very serious about wanting to conceive. So nothing really took me by surprise. I think just now I'm just like, okay, she's gonna get bigger. I'm already like feeling very full. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that's it. That's really it.
Yeah. This is probably and you can say, no, Danica.
Oh, now I'm excited.
That's too
Oh
much.
boy, I love these
Um,
questions.
has intimacy changed?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I like it's so funny. Okay, so yeah, that was like one thing that kind of I guess not took me by surprise, but I was kind of disappointed in was because I would always hear moms like, okay, yeah, second trimester, like I got my sex drive back, I couldn't keep my hands off of him. And that was not the case for me. I was like, I don't feel sexy. I don't feel like my hips are sore. Like I don't I don't really want anything in or around.
That can use more touching. Like, just get away from me.
Yeah, like the only thing I am extra, like I'm not super moody or like get away from me or like I can't stand you. I'm actually the opposite. I'm like quite clingy now. I'm just like I need to be like on top of him like snuggles. But other than that, like I'm just like I literally was like I think I've said I'm sorry to him like a few times. He's like, please stop apologizing because you're literally like growing our baby. And I was like, okay, yeah, but I'm already like mentally planning, like, okay, once I'm like back in the game, like we're gonna make it a whole night. And like I'm gonna like buy a cute outfit and like, you know, I'll make it up to him. But yeah,
Yeah. You know what's awesome too is that you'll have to wait a little bit.
yeah.
So like I felt
Still
like
wants to wait a little bit.
the waiting game was like
The
I
anticipation.
can't like I can have you. There's no creature inside of me anymore, but I can't have you because I was told like I can't do this yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That made me, I don't know, that was like,
Anytime someone tells you you can't have something,
I know.
it makes you want it more. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're just like thinking about it. I'm sure we'll probably have somewhere marked on his. He'll probably mark his calendar. The doctor said this day we can start doing it again. I'm like, okay, yeah.
Oh my gosh. When I think it was Jada, they wanted Jada to like come out sooner. Like they were
Was
like,
it your
okay,
first or your second?
second. They're
Okay.
like, she's good, like she's solid, she's well cooked, like, and
How
Matt.
many weeks was that?
So I was getting induced anyways, like irregardless
Oh,
at
okay.
38 weeks.
Okay.
But they were like, if you could naturally have her come out, then that's fantastic. And I remember Matt being like, we're just gonna have to do it every single night. And me being like,
I tried it.
Oh, because it's
Really,
yeah, the prostaglandins.
right.
Supposed
And
to
so
like,
annoying.
induce
So annoying.
labor.
the hardest when you're like all the way, like, because
Oh
Claire
yeah.
to 41 and 4.
Oh
And
my
so, I mean, I wound up doing castor oil because I was like, literally,
did,
whatever
yeah.
I can do, just get the fuck out. The heck. It
Oh
took
my
2
gosh.
tries even with castor oil. but that totally worked and was
Like
like,
drinking it.
yes,
Got it.
it's
And you
so
can use it, right? I drink it and I used it. I was like, wherever this castor
yeah.
oil could go, let's
Oh
just do it.
yeah. Because you
Yeah,
can do
there's
like
like
perineal
something else
massage.
you can do, but it definitely hit my stomach first.
Mm.
And like, so the first time we did it, completely cleared out. So I was like, well, it did something. Like
Oh my
24 hours
God.
later, we had tried it again. And that totally worked. But sex and then like curb walking and like all of that. But I
I've
tell you
seen
what,
a lot of moms do that.
it's the pump like that like worked the best for me for sure. And I think it's because if you're trying to have sex because you want to get a baby out of you, like you might get the benefit of like the what is it, the prostaglandins or like whatever that's
Yeah.
in that can help ripen. So like
Yeah.
that's one thing. But I just felt like I was never in the mood. I was just like, can you just hurry up and put that there so that I can sit here with my hips up
Basically,
and
yeah.
hope for the best? Like, you're not getting like the oxytocin flowing.
Not even
Oh.
close. Yeah, I have heard of like pumping, like because that can also kind of help get things going. I'm also excited and interested to like see when like my actual milk comes in because
It might
I
be
don't know
soon.
that.
Like something.
That
Oh,
is like I do feel bad because my boobs are huge. And I'm like, Keith, I'm so sorry, but like they hurt and like they itch and like
yeah.
they just I can't. But yeah, because I think I actually went to Victoria's Secret because I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I need a couple of like decent bras that
Yeah.
can like support them now. And they measured me and she's like, yeah, you're a double D now. And I was like, no freaking way. But makes sense. And then I was in denial. I tried like the regular D and I was like, yeah, this is not happening. So, but hopefully he gets to enjoy them after the baby's here.
Did you get like real bras or did you do like bralettes?
I got a couple of real bras. I
Oh,
wish I
okay.
had gotten a bralette just because like it is a lot of like boob.
Yeah.
So I kind of just wish they were a little like smushed in.
I feel
But
like after gosh, I found like one underwire bra in my closet like 6 months ago. And I was like, where did this even come from? And I think it was something I had gotten as a
yeah.
bachelorette party gift, where
Oh,
like it was
okay.
that old from like 14 years ago or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And like once I went with the Lulu, the Free to Be Wild bras, because like my boobs are built in. So like they don't even
Yeah.
need that much support. They just kind of stay where they are. I wear bras like I don't know, so my boobs aren't showing all the time.
Yeah.
And those have been like my go-to. I can't do underwires anymore. I feel like they make
The only reason I went the only other reason I went was because I won one for my maternity shoot.
that was beautiful.
Thank you. I'm actually
Mhm.
I have a couple prints coming that I'm surprising Keith with because they're just like I can't stop staring at them. They're just so
Yeah.
cute. But honestly the TLF, like a couple of their bras are like super supportive and like really push the boobs up.
Yeah.
So I've been like living in those. I think I wash them like at least once a week because I'm like they just are on repeat.
Yeah.
But I tried wearing an underwire one like when we went on a date like earlier, what was it, Saturday? And I tried it on and put my dress on and I was like, this just looks so freaking weird. It's just too much.
Which is just so much. Yeah.
It's just so much. Like get it off. But yeah.
Funny part is when I don't know if this happened to you, Danica, but like because I have like no breast tissue, which is why I got implants because I was just like completely flat. But then when I'm nursing, I'll get like the veins and stuff that you can like see a little bit. And so I just like not being used to having like anything naturally
I
going on
got
with my boobs. It's like, what are those? What's happening? It's like
I
a full
definitely
power
got
plant.
those.
Uh,
Yeah, I definitely had those come in. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird.
right.
Um, I think the other kind of change I didn't like love was I definitely got like the hyperpigmentation or like darker, like my skin got a little bit darker, especially like on my neck
Yeah.
and like on the sides of my boobs. Cause I think obviously like when you're pregnant, like your nipples grow too.
Mhm.
Cause
Yeah.
it like makes it easier for the baby to like find
To
where to
see it.
nurse.
Yeah.
Yep.
But like I had one spot coming really bad on my cheek, and I was like, oh, it's kind of a bummer. It did go away, but I'm kind of looking forward to my skin getting back to normal.
Yeah.
Because that's also been like kind of, I feel like the cell turnover is like so quick. Like I feel like every other day I'm exfoliating, and like I just like there's so much dead skin. It's crazy.
I have, now that you're in this area, I got this from Claire, like the little
Oh, okay.
asthma thing. I hadn't gotten any of that with
Yeah.
the other kids, and then this has stuck around after her. But the place I go to make sure my forehead doesn't move anymore, also has a laser that apparently can get rid of that. And
Oh, okay.
I just haven't done it yet. And so if you end up with anything like lingering, I can give you their
Yeah.
information.
You'll have to let me know, because obviously mine's worn off. And I miss my Botox lady. So.
Yeah.
I did not think I would love it so much because I just started in March, was like the first time I had gotten it. And
Really?
then I pushed it from 3 months to 4 months. And by the time I got into her, I was like, this is appalling. Like everything could move again. And now I'm like,
Oh my God.
oh, good. So I've always been, so this eyebrow actually was funny. She had to do double the amount to get it to like shut
To, like,
itself down because my
laser?
eyebrows are too loud and judgy. She was like, you're fighting the Botox and you've made the muscle stronger. Apparently, I just like resistance trained my eyebrows
Oh my gosh.
to go up. So she had to like double shut it down. And I was like, tell her to be quiet.
See, when I went in, I was like, I do like being able to kind of like give that like look.
Yeah.
So I said, like, freeze all of this, but just like, I still want to be able to.
I did a weird like fold is what I noticed. Oh, and I could have killed her. I love her so much, but I was like, so if everything else is like shut down and if I can move it here, it would fold like in my eyelid.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, what is that? And she was like, that's age. Like think like about like the thin I was like, I know why my eyelid
No,
is
she
like that.
didn't.
I meant
Oh
the
my
square.
Rude.
Like rude, Allie. Isn't this like a safe place?
Oh my God. No, I miss my esthetician, like nobody's business. Cause yeah, that for me, the Botox helped a lot with the like my breakouts, and like, cause I sweat like a lot. Obviously now that I'm in Denver, I don't have that problem as much. So I'm kind of excited about that. But, yeah, I need, mommy's gonna need to get her skin.
Mm.
some
My
glowing.
skin completely changed
Did
after,
it?
well, it like, I got these red, they're like cherry things. I don't know if like people
Like the
from,
pre-freckle.
but
Oh.
that's from Jada.
I
Yeah,
got a bunch of little moles.
yeah.
Little
And the
things.
doctor, I was like, I could just put a needle right in there, right? And like
Knock it
let it
off.
drain. And
Right.
he's like, no, it will not stop bleeding. Like they're
Oh.
so because, and I have them like scattered, no one can really tell except for me, but all over my belly, all along the side of my chest. They're like little red. It's almost like the blood vessels like came to the surface of my
Yeah.
skin.
Then they
I
were like, oh,
definitely
never
got-
mind. Went back down.
I got a bunch
And
of
this
like little
this
moles.
one won't go. And my father-in-law, every time he sees me, he's like, hey, so I was thinking about that. And I'm like, why? Why were you thinking about this? Like, I'm cool with
Please
it.
don't.
Okay,
I'm
please
okay
don't
with
think
it.
about
It's like a little reminder. It doesn't bother me. My OB at the time was like, just so you know, you can get that lasered off. And I was like, I'll think about it. But like, yeah, my father-in-law will be like, I thought about that. You could get lasered. I'm like, does it bother other people? Like, it's not that
I think
like,
that was it's so funny because I feel like as people get older, they almost like regress when it comes like to kids. Like how kids are so honest. And like they just like they're not trying to be mean. They're just like saying what they're thinking. I feel like as
oh
people
my
get older,
God.
that filter just comes right back off, and they just like thinking whatever they're thinking.
Right.
Not even like considering like, I probably could think that, but like not say it out loud.
Yeah, aren't those like cool? He said one other thing to me, and I like brush it off because whatever.
Yeah.
I was probably 6 weeks post like Jada, and Jada, I have stretch marks, I have loose skin, my belly button lost its place, it doesn't even know where it belongs, and it's like a hot, like it was just a hot mess. Like, and I was still recovering and I was fine with it. I was like,
Well,
this
yeah,
is,
because that skin has to just kind of.
yeah, I'm gonna give this time. I'm gonna give it time. And my mother-in-law was like, did you get any stretch marks? I was like, I did. And like, I don't mind showing. And he was like, what the fuck is that?
No way.
I was like, this is a stomach.
Stop.
Like this. He was like,
This
what
is this
happened?
is where your grandkids came from. You're
Oh,
welcome.
goodness.
See, yeah, I ended up getting that the linea negra that
Yeah.
pretty much goes like all the way. Does it go all the way up? It pretty much goes all the way up to my sternum. And the skin like around my belly button definitely got like a little bit darker.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have any warrior stripes just yet, but I have a feeling they're coming like towards the very end, unless she decides to come out before then.
Hmm.
But I'm like bathing in like lotion and
Oh, yeah.
Vaseline
Vic used to
and
have me
oil.
like covered in cocoa butter because he was like, it's supposed to
Yes.
work.
But yeah, I'm like, please, like, because my boobs definitely have stretch marks now. I like
Yeah.
that came pretty quickly. But yeah, I'm interested to see how things go back to normal and like some of that discoloration like goes away.
It
Yeah.
takes a while too, so don't like freak out if it's still there, even at like 3 or 6 months. I feel like things like all of that skin color change will fluctuate even after delivery, like as your hormones like, try to figure themselves
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I
So
would
it's
even say
longer.
years post. Like,
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
my stomach looks so different. And Jada is 4. And every year I felt like things kind of settled back in where like it needed or it wanted to be, I guess, or where it needed to be, where it wanted to be. But like skin changes and uh it I feel like it takes a while. Like I mean it's what 9 months, if not more, to grow a baby. It's not gonna like
Right.
be just like that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny. um, like because I do plan on still competing. Like after, I'm not competing next year. I'm not putting that on myself. I'm not crazy, but I do want to compete again. And it's so funny because like there was this guy. I went to Pittsburgh for North Americans, and he'd asked like, "Hey, are you planning on competing after?" I was like, "Yeah, I definitely want to still compete. Obviously, God willing, this body lets me do that." And he was like, "Yeah, definitely get in and out of the first one because the second one ruined your body." And I was like, last time I checked, you don't have a vagina, so
Explain that to me. I'd like to hear your
I
mouth.
just laughed it off.
What
I
was
just laughed
his
it off.
like what was his theory behind that?
I didn't even ask for an
You should
elaboration.
tell Angelica, but
Yeah, I was like,
told you.
Angelica looks freaking amazing.
Right.
Yeah, there's plenty of moms that have had multiple kids. I know one mom that had twins and she looks incredible. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was funny the things people say and like don't, like I said, back to like kids.
Yeah, I think
Just
that,
like
well, so
don't think,
pregnancy does that, like pregnancy and kids, I feel like
oh girl.
people see those as like, you can say whatever you want. Like
Yeah.
you can just make comments on people's bodies or how
I
they're
was 26
raising their
weeks
kids.
and like I had that textbook like, oh my gosh, you look like you're about to give birth today. I was like, I'm halfway there.
I have forever. Thank you.
Like we still have like 3.5, 4 months to go, but thank you, sweetie. No, I like things like that though, like I just laughed it off too because I was like, I don't even know you, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I feel
it's
like the like main thing that takes the longest to go back is getting the skin to not be like stretched out as much, but that
Mhm.
wasn't as much of a problem for me like with the early pregnancies. I didn't really
Yeah.
notice things not going back as much until after Claire. And at this point, I'm like, we've done this 4 times. I get it. You
Yeah.
can be tired about this now.
Yeah.
But even then, like people will worry that they're going to be seen on stage or
I
like anything
know.
like that with either
Yeah.
stretch marks or loose skin. But like you only really see it in weird positions, you know, like you can't
Yeah.
see that kind of loose skin for the most part. If you got lean enough, it's not going to be there while you're posing.
And
But
some I have seen, like, there have only been like, I think there's only one posing client of mine that I can think of that has had, it was actually just kind of very severe how loose her skin was. Like, even her getting like her conditioning was great. She still struggled with that skin kind of being a little too like loose and like moving. She was older, so that probably also had a little bit to do with the skin integrity kind of going down a little bit. But like, we worked on her posing and she was able to hide it really well. But even like, I tell all my clients too, I'm like, it is, unless you're like a pro, and unless the skin is like very obviously like really struggling, you're probably gonna be fine. Between the tan and the glaze, like, you're not gonna be able to see it. So don't stress out about it. Plus, dude, like, you had kids and you got on stage, did a whole prep, and like, you're in this shape now after having kids. Like, come on, you gotta give yourself a little.
Yeah.
yeah,
And they also position, so I know many people didn't even realize that I have stretch marks or loose skin after Jada when I did a show. They were like, there's no way. I'm like, yeah, you gotta zoom in. Like, you can see, you couldn't really tell on stage. And also, if people were concerned, I've had clients that were concerned about it and they have shaped their suit. Like, there are companies that will shape the suit to kind of adjust a little bit so that maybe like it is a little bit higher. It doesn't go so low on your pubic. But there's so many different angles that like you can work with.
yeah.
And you're right. At the end of the day, it's pretty incredible that you just
Yeah.
had a baby and now your body is capable of this too.
Yeah.
That's like most of the time.
Definitely.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I honestly like expected up to this point to like start seeing them, like, come in, just because I also know that stretch marks to an extent are hereditary. Like, I know that for sure. So, because we learned about it in school. When I heard that, I was like a little sad because I was like, oh, okay, well, it doesn't really matter what I do then.
Right.
Like, at the same time, my mom, her mom, and like my dad's mom, like, they all gained pretty substantial amount of weight. My mom's mom had 4 kids, my dad's mom had 3 kids, so like, at a certain point you're gonna see him come in. And then, like I said, my mom ended up on bed rest with me, gained, like, I think she gained, like, I want to say like 70, she was like 180 pounds, and we're the same height. So she gained a lot of weight, and that also obviously is gonna play a role. So I think we'll see. I mean, I think any mom would be kind of like lying if they said they weren't at least hopeful that they didn't see the stretch marks come in.
Yeah.
So I keep just like fingers crossed, but
Yeah. And it's so different. Even then I didn't have any. Jada, so my first I had nothing. My mom never had a stretch mark and she had 5 kids.
oh my God.
And so I was like, oh, okay. Like, this is great.
Yeah.
But Jada, like, you never know also what's going to happen. I would have imagined that I probably wouldn't have gotten stretch marks, but my amniotic fluid got really, really, really high.
Oh.
Pushed my belly. So towards like at 35 weeks, it was just incredibly high where they considered like draining it. And
Oh wow.
that pushed my belly even further. But like, I didn't know that. Like, I wasn't.
And probably like faster, like, you know, so it was different than like the normal rate of stuff.
For
is
sure.
probably
Totally. Yeah. Like,
up with it.
it expanded way faster than it was. Like, in 2 weeks, my skin looked angry. Like, it was like, I'm mad at you. What is happening?
Here.
Yeah.
So my question is, at what point did you guys tell your husbands, like, okay, you're not going out of town, you're not traveling, like, this baby could come at any moment? Because I told Keith, like, 34 weeks, like, hits, no more going on out of town trips, or like, 2 days in the mountains with your buddies, like, you're home just in case.
Yeah. Well, is this like, Christine, I feel like you know more about this than I do, but I feel like the second that I started having Braxton Hicks, I was like, okay, no one's leaving. No one's
Does
leaving.
everybody get those?
That's what I was going to ask. Does everybody get Braxton Hicks though?
Not well, yes, but you
I
might
would,
not know
yeah.
you're having them is like, I think there's something that happened to everybody. I generally did not feel them like with the first two. I wouldn't know I was having them. And like towards the end of stuff, they could like put me on a monitor and they'd like be able to see something and then I wouldn't know. And then moving into Ben, I had with Ben and Claire, I had prodromal labor for with Ben, it was like 8 weeks.
What's
Like
that?
I was having, they weren't Braxton Hicks, they were like contractions, like that
Like
would
real
put me on my
contractions.
knees. And then I'd be fine. And like
Oh my God.
just go about business. And so with Ben, it was the worst. They started like a week or two before Christmas, and then he was born February 4th. And so it was just like that, like forever. But
Oh my
he, when I went into labor, he literally came with like 2 pushes. Like Vic laughed and said it was like Brooklyn
That's
Decker
crazy.
in What to Expect. Cause it was literally, I was like, I think he's coming. And then like 2 seconds later, it was like, here he comes.
And yours were
like,
not, all your, you did
over.
all yours natural, didn't you, Christina?
Yeah, because I'm just like too much of a control freak to not be able to feel stuff. Like that would very much freak me out. But so Riker came early. So I'm the worst with like when to not let people leave because Riker was born. My water broke at 32 and 5. And then he
Wow.
was born 2 days later. And
Wow.
so, because they were like, we're going to do a C-section if you don't go into labor soon, because
Your body was like, cool, got it.
well, so Vic brought a cooler of all of my favorite snacks. They wouldn't let him stay like with me. So, or I think I was sending him home at night or something like that. I had to stay at the hospital. So he brought me a cooler of snacks. He brought me my own TV and a DVD player. And then I sat and watched Harry Potter that night. And my mom was like, laxatives are supposed to help. So she gave me like a laxative before they went home to go to bed. Because the nurses were like, you cannot go to labor like on this unit. Because I was on like a different floor because they didn't have space. So like, do not go into labor because we don't do that. And I was like, yeah, cool, bye. And like, and they were going to do a C-section in the morning. And so I took the laxative. All that did was make me poop a whole bunch. And then I put on my pump. Or no, I didn't have my pump. I just did it myself.
What?
I literally, and it's not like nice playing with your nipples, right? Like you're like waking shit up. And literally did that for like 2 hours and then
Shut up.
called Vic and was like, it's go time. And he was born that morning.
That's wild.
And then so after that, no one's allowed to leave. Like Vic wasn't allowed to leave me with any of the other kids as soon as we hit like 28 weeks even, because I was like terrified because they never figured out why. Like I was active duty in the Navy and they came and asked me about drug use. And I was like, you fools do random drug testing on me all the time. Like I definitely was not doing drugs while pregnant that caused
You're 8 months
water
pregnant. Yeah.
like I'm off partying or something. And they couldn't find like an infection or
How much did he weigh?
4 pounds, 5 ounces.
Okay.
So
Yes.
he was
He was a little
itty
guy.
bitty and like super long. I think he was like 20 inches long. So he was a noodle. All of our kids looked like aliens. Like I think they were beautiful when they were born, but looking back, I'm like, oh, because Claire was our biggest baby and she weighed like 6 pounds, like 4 ounces. Because we had a midwife here at the house and her thing got like
cool.
a million weird readings. And so she was like roughly 6 pounds.
Yeah.
Ben was 5'12 and Cora was 5 even. So
They were all just like little babies.
yeah, they're little nuggets. I wouldn't send Keith to the mountains once snow starts.
He has one more hike coming up and then he's done. Yeah, he said he wants to go next week and then I'm like, okay, cool.
Oh, that's fine. But once the 70s starts getting snow, because Vic started doing that when I was pregnant with Claire, he wanted to go up because we had spring break. And so he was like, well, I'll take the kids up to the mountains. And I was like, well, I don't want to go to elevation, so I'll stay here. And then like I started to get really stressed out where I was like, oh, all it takes is like one car accident on the 70 and that drive can turn into a
Plus, when you're,
4-hour
I feel like
drive.
when you're pregnant, like you just think of like worst case scenario. You're just like, oh my God, I'm a single mom now.
Oh, intrusive thoughts are so fun. Just wait for those.
Oh my dude, when I forget what, because like obviously when I go up to the mountains, the GPS and the phones like don't work that well. We share locations.
Yeah.
Just because like one, I like to see when he gets home because I get excited. I'm like, oh yay. But also because like last year, or like the last few years, I travel a lot for work and shows and stuff, and I would always forget to text them like, "Hey, I made it." So he'd be
Right.
like, "Just share your location with me, please." So he was with my brother. My brother came to visit, and they went on a hike, and they had no service, so I couldn't like get through to either of them. I was calling both of them like because it was getting kind of starting to get dark. It was like getting to like 8 o'clock. I was like, I haven't heard from these fools. Like I can't see Keith's location. My brother and I share location too. So I was like, Keith Hank's location hasn't moved in an hour. Like, oh my God. And so it was like, cool. I'm a single mom now, and I don't have a brother anymore.
I get to plan all these funerals. I don't have time for this.
Dude, I
Oh
was
my
literally
God.
like going crazy, walking around my living room, like looking at my dogs, like freaking out. I was like, oh my God, I can't. I have to call my dad because like I have to break the news to him. And then
Oh my God.
I finally hear back from one of them, and they're like, "Yeah, sorry, we didn't have any service." So I'm like, I can't do that anymore.
So Keith needs a Garmin InReach.
That's exactly what he got. He was like,
Okay.
"Okay, cool, I got one of these so that you can see
Yep.
my location so that you're not worried." I'm like, "Yeah, I can't do that again."
I need to get one of those because my last like big trail run was up in Rocky Mountain National Park and
Oh
we
yeah.
lost service at the trailhead. Like Vic took the kids so that they could go do stuff. So we all went up there and at the trailhead, we already didn't have service. And so I was just like, see you in 5 hours and just disappeared into the mountains. And then it took me longer than it was supposed to. And so now I'm like 3 miles from the trailhead and it had like a climb. So I knew it was going to take me some time and it was already late. And I couldn't call him. And so I'm like, well, shit, like, when is he going to get the Rangers? Because I'm going to be so embarrassed if I get back there and there's like park rangers everywhere and everyone's looking for me. And so I was like, that kept me more stressed out, but like made me move faster too. And he was standing there, like hands on the hips, watching the trailhead. And he was like, you had 20 more minutes before I was going to go get like the Rangers and be like, I don't know where she went. And he had already waited for a bit. So I was like, okay, time to get a Garmin satellite thing so that I can be found.
Yeah, you can't you can't be doing that.
I can't.
That's why I wanted to go to a haunted house. That like there's like a 13th floor haunted house that we've been seeing.
Daraja.
Do you want to go to this? I was like, you are gonna scare this baby out of me. I'm gonna go into labor.
So that one's supposed to be like notorious here. Like, and I don't know if it's as bad as when Vic was in high school because he went to high school here. And he said you used to get your money back if you made it to the top. And so it was like a thing where you're like, it's not supposed to go that way. But if you go, Elitch Gardens has a fun one too, and like a little scary stuff. And go to the botanical gardens. I have like a whole list for you.
You'll have to text me because I've been like dying to see like fall stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll need.
There's a lot near you too. And if
Okay,
Keith
cool.
needs a hiking buddy, when you can hike, we can hook him up.
That's right. But yeah, well, I haven't been able to. Like the last hike we went on, I think I was like maybe just around 20 weeks, and I was dying. I was like, and I'm typically the person that's like keeping the pace, right? And I was like, okay, Keith, I need a break, and it was like maybe 10 minutes went by. So yeah, no, I was like, no haunted houses for me, thanks, because I am such a scaredy cat. And I will literally, this baby will come out.
Can you imagine? Maybe wait until, when's your due date? It's like right after Halloween, isn't it?
November 29th.
Oh, no, never mind. I was
Yeah.
going to say, that's still a whole other month.
If she's early, like I think around Halloween, she'll be like 38 weeks, 37, 38 weeks.
Yeah.
So.
If you're over it on Halloween, you could go try it, but I wouldn't go before then.
No, I'm not crazy.
What a crazy birth story that would be.
That would be.
And then the clown helped catch you, but he had to put down his bloody knife
Oh
first.
my God, dude, they'd have to shut down the whole house. It'd be an actual
Oh my
bloodbath.
It would be. It would
Be
be.
a good news story for sure.
But
love
I
it.
think I still want to do natural is like still kind of what I'm reading. Did you guys ever read I never know how to say it, but like the Ina May's Guide to
So I was going to ask you about that when we were talking earlier, when Danica mentioned intimacy, because in there, I want to say it's in one of her books. I don't remember which one, but when they're talking about the birth stories, there's a like section of them where they talk about the couples that would like kiss during contractions.
Yes.
And how that's supposed to help. And I just feel in my bones that you're the kind of person this is going to work for, where you're going to be like, we just kissed away my contractions. The baby fell out. I didn't even know. Next thing you know, it naturally latched on and then like birds flew out. Like, I completely feel this coming your way.
That's
so I need you to try it.
That's how I'm envisioning it. I'm getting a playlist together and I've already told Keith, like, we will be kissing through my contractions and like, I want you like right here, like forehead to forehead, like helping me through this. And he's like super excited about it. And I'm like, no, I don't think you understand though. Like, you're going to have to watch me go through, like, I'll be in pain. And he has never really seen, obviously, like, he's never been in that situation or environment before. So I'm like, hoping he doesn't kind of get like not squeamish, but just kind of like distracted, I guess.
Yeah. If you seem in control, like he'll be fine, you know? And so going back to your breath, that's like the biggest thing. If you can work on like breath work and trusting yourself and like stuff like that now, because I mean, especially you're going to be at Rose, right?
I'm going to be at, what did you say? Rose?
Is it Rose Medical Center?
No, it's South Denver.
Sorry, we're like chatting about hospitals. I can cover that up if you want me to. I just realized that we share all this. Well, I was gonna say because I know they have like the midwives and then they have everything else. So you get kind of like the full thing. And so it's nice. You can go in and have the plan of one, and then just kick the can like 10 minutes down the road, and that's all you have to do. Like if somebody comes and asks you if you want something, like talk to me in 10 minutes, and then
okay,
breathe that long, get to where, because sometimes I had definitely had stuff where I was like, fuck this, I want the epidural. And like Vic would just have to be like, no, you don't, like finish this contraction.
I'm gonna have to tell Keith the same thing because I think like, that was one thing I was like thinking about. I'm really glad you said that. Because I'd have to tell them, like, there are going to be moments where I know I'm going to be like, babe, I don't know if I can do this.
And they keep asking, at least for me, they kept asking. And I was like, if you come in here one time, I swear to God, like, just let me get to 10. Like, just let me get to 10 and I'll be good. Yeah. And another thing to remember too is, which I feel like you're going to be able to do this, but to like your perception of the pain, like you lean into the pain, like the pain is a beautiful thing. The pain has a purpose. Like it's not pain in a negative way. It's like
I'm already like
doing something.
I like love that you said that because that's also exactly kind of like what I'm trying to mentally prepare myself to do is like, okay, each contraction and like this pain is like getting me closer to seeing like me. So like I want to welcome it. I think I love the visualization of like waves crashing or like
that was a big one for me.
A flower opening up. Obviously because like that's what we want the cervix to do is dilate. But I think like with each one that's kind of like I'll probably be an eyes closed kind of gal just like visualizing. Luckily too, like South Denver, I asked them already, they were like, yeah, like if you want a room where we can like have a tub in there because I love water. I'm a water baby. They like to be able to labor in there, I think would be nice.
I liked that. I did that for Venna. Matt was like, because every time you have a contraction, some stuff is going to come out. So Matt would see it in the water and he'd be like, oh my God, drain the water. And I'd be like, it's going to be okay. But that felt so good. That the water, the ball, walking, I actually didn't like, I liked squatting.
Mhm.
I liked the mirror. I remember like the ring of fire. I remember the nurse being like, you're gonna feel the ring of fire. And I was like, bring it the fuck on. Like,
Right?
So you have it. And then the ring of fire, the good news is it only happens for so long, right?
Yeah.
Like when that does come, it's like, all right, it's officially
Oh,
game time.
oh,
You can't be
this
a
is
pussy
fire.
anymore. You gotta like, that's when you have to decide. Like
Wait,
I
is
just
the
have to,
ring of fire like when it starts to feel
when
like
they're
burning?
crowning and so
Yeah.
Yeah,
their head's
okay.
pressing. The best
Yeah.
way, I think Ina May describes it. You can do it with your face.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
stick your
yeah.
fingers in your mouth and pull, and it's the
Oh,
same
okay.
like feeling,
Yeah.
a bit more intense. Um,
But they could also do like, I love,
Oil.
they can put oil. Yeah. Like making sure
Yeah.
that they're rubbing, they're putting oil. I had 2 nurses, like one on either side, like supporting everything
Mhm.
opening up. And that actually felt really good. Like it distracted me from like thinking about
Yeah.
the
I can see
pain.
that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can see that.
Did I tell you about the comb trick? Have you seen that one?
The birth combs.
I
where
did
you
that with
pull
Claire.
them and like squeeze
Totally
it.
worked.
Yeah.
Yep. And so with Ben, I tried to labor in the tub because I'm like obsessed with baths and like all of that. And I thought I was
Same.
gonna love it.
That's
As
like
soon
my
as I
favorite
got
routine
in,
now. Is like getting my ass in the tub.
so I was at the point where he was so big, my mom was like standing in the corner ready to puke because she could see him. She's like, it's like the alien because he would move and you could see like an elbow or like something
Oh
as
my
he was
God.
rotating into place.
It's so
So I
wild.
went to like lay down in the tub because it was like the hard like shell, right? And I stopped.
Yeah.
I hate this. I hate this. And like couldn't do it. But so when I got out was when he came. So I think I was just already in transition. But the shower with Claire. So
Uh,
what I figured out worked. I would turn so it was beating on my back because I
The
get
shower
really
sounds
bad
really
back labor.
nice.
So during a contraction, I love to like boil myself, right? Like that's my favorite shower. So during a contraction, I would crank it all the way up to like the hottest I could handle, which is probably crazy, and then let it beat on my back during the contraction. And then as soon as it would pass, I would turn it down to like half power
Yeah.
and then just like breathe.
That had to be a nice like contrast though. Like once
Yeah.
the contraction was
Well, because
over,
it
then
would
it's like,
make me think about my skin almost more than the
oh my
contraction.
God.
I remember
Yeah.
when Vic came and he was like, you have to get out of the shower now. Like you're gonna run out of hot water. Like he knew the timing was coming. And I have no, I'm like, no, get a new water heater.
I
Like,
will say, like taking like really, I take like such long showers now because it just feels so good to
yeah.
like let that hot water like run down my back and like onto my hips and like the hot baths. I'm like, I've also heard that like those can also like get labor started like once the baby's kind of ready. But yeah, so we'll see. I might just be
He
taking
will be
that
good
today.
seeing you as long as Matt's never seen me in pain. And so he acts like a protector. Like he wants to
Yeah.
save me. He wants to protect me. Like, so there was only one time that he was like, babe, it's not too late. Like you can do something about this. And I
Yeah.
was like, no, I can't. Like, what am I gonna do now? Like shove it back in there and be like, not today. Like, no, like we're doing this. And also go find your balls because we're doing it like
Find your
we're
balls.
doing it together.
Oh
But
my God.
there
Yeah.
will be probably a moment where I feel like all husbands are like, I know that they can do this, but also
You can't help but to
hard.
think like, yeah, it
It's
is.
hard to see your wife in pain. Like,
Yeah.
right.
so
For sure.
you're like, what do I do? Like, do I invite the pain with you? Do I say like, good job, that was a good one? Like,
Right.
yeah,
Did you guys feel your like when you train? Because obviously, like, did you do natural for all of yours too, or both yours, Danica?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, I love it here.
Yeah.
So, did you guys like kind of really feel that like spiritual experience where like you just kind of felt like the transition and everything, like you were just super present in that? Like, what was that?
Well, so
Being in like during labor, you mean?
Yeah, like because I think because transition is when like they literally drop into
Mm,
your birth
yeah.
canal, right? And then like they're ready to go.
Yeah.
transition is a gnarly experience.
You felt, well, I don't think I was able to, I feel like I felt it with Ravenna, but they induced me with Jada.
Okay.
So I
might have
feel
flown
like,
past it.
I feel like that fucked it.
Yeah.
Probably. Because
Hmm.
it was like the contractions
Grip of
were,
hormones and stuff.
Yeah.
So when my body hits transition, everyone in the room knows. Like, because I get like the shakes really bad, I'll start to like shiver, but I'm hot, but I'll like shiver at the same time to where I can't like stop it. And so with the first two, I was very much like, what is happening? But by the time it happened with like Ben and with Claire, it was like, fuck yes, let's do this. Like, I'm so over being in this position. And hers didn't even like take that long. I feel like it was just more that I knew too much about the process. I just wanted to be
is transition when you can start to push?
It's when you go, it's like the final big push to like 9 and 10. So you'll like I would go super rapidly from like 7 to pushing, like in that transition with stuff. And so the hormones can shift and everything, and you'll get like more adrenaline. And so I think that's why my body like freaks out from it. But then it goes away like as soon as I start pushing, or I just don't notice it.
Yeah.
Like as much when I'm
I
pushing.
don't think I did notice that. The only thing that I did notice was the very, very end, like superhuman power. That was like, I don't even know where I like found it.
Yeah.
But Ravenna, like at the very end there, they like got out a vacuum and they were like, hey, baby's heart is dropping, like you, and I just remember looking at one nurse and being like, tell me what I need to do right now. And she was like, you're gonna have to push as hard as you possibly can. I said, count to 10 and I'll go past 10. And I was exhausted. I remember being like, I can't do this anymore. And then something came in me.
Yeah.
And you're able to do it. Like you're able to, and then it feels so good. Then you're like, oh my gosh, like
that second one.
As soon as you're done, like that's the crazy part about it. Is
Yeah.
like as soon as they come out, like it's like it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, after like
Well, then did you see them and like they're just here now and like I feel like all of that just kind of takes over from like everything that you just experienced.
It's a lot of just like, oh my God, like where you just have to have like a second to breathe almost.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want people talking to me. I was just like, holy shit, like give me a
Give me a
second.
minute.
Like
Did
you see what I just did. And then you're like, I am the greatest person ever that's ever done what I've done. Like, you
I
feel
mean,
like
I would
you all-
imagine. I would imagine you just feel like at that point you can do fucking anything. You're just like,
Yeah.
no one.
Oh
can
my
do
God.
anything.
It's
But did you guys? Because I feel like the only other thing I've seen that like kind of scares me is like I've seen them say like, don't take your eyes off your baby, like don't let them just like take the baby out of the room or like stuff.
they ankle bracelet them now at the hospital.
Okay.
They can't steal them. So that was like a thing when we were kids, I think.
Okay.
Like in the 80s or whatever, like babies were getting stolen. And so now, have you done your tour yet? Of like
Not yet. Not yet.
so
We're
they'll
gonna
show
start
you
now.
with that.
Okay.
But yeah, the babies essentially have like little ankle bracelets and then they like barcode you. Like depending on like the hospital, it's a little bit different. But then most of on that unit, they'll have doors where it like it'll know if a baby goes past it when they're not supposed to, like with stuff.
Neat.
And so yeah, you don't have to.
I never heard of that. That's really scary. They took Venna because Venna was like her heart rate was really, really low. So I remember them like taking her and putting that like in a corner though, but she never left my room. Like
You shouldn't
the
have to.
room, probably also because I was high risk. There were so many doctors, like there were 3 different doctors, there were nurses, there was like, I'm pretty sure like the whole internship crew was probably there too of like, watch this. And, but never, I don't remember ever leaving. I did shake uncontrollably after Jada. Like I delivered Jada and then I remember being like, why is my body
Is
doing
that
this?
same like adrenaline, like where it just goes like
Yeah.
crazy, and
I've
then
seen
someone comes
that.
and rubs your stomach? Oh, that's the worst.
Oh my God. But I hope that you also have someone. My first, I had to switch OBs like for because Venna was just a really long time. So I switched doctors midway. And I was like, wait a minute, like I've done all this work with you. Why are you leaving? Like, let's just finish this through. But it was too much time. With Jada, he was just his calmness made me really calm. Like the way he talked to me, the way he was like sitting in the chair, just watching thing, he was like, you're doing a really good job. And
Good
like,
energy.
yeah, the energy was really important.
That's
Like
huge.
it made me realize like, oh, this isn't like a wild thing.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't
Well,
commotion.
that's because like
It
that's
was
what movies
breathing.
and TV shows like make us think
Yeah.
labor is. Is like
Yeah.
this like crazy, chaotic, like painful experience, and that like that just is what it is. But it doesn't have to be
No.
that.
I feel like how you are just naturally, and like if you talk to the like team of nurses that you get when you get there, where it's just like your goal is to have as chill and calm and enjoyable of an experience as possible. Like I'm willing to do what I have to, but this is what I'm shooting for. Just
Yeah.
help me have a nice time. Like that's the best way to go into it.
That's
Yeah.
literally exactly what I wanted.
You're just
Yeah.
Like my midwife was like, "What do you kind of like? What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I would just like the most calm, like meditative, voice." I was like, "I just want it to be a very peaceful, very calm experience." So yeah, she's like, "Okay, perfect." So and I like her energy is like super, just like sweet and calm and
Mhm.
nice, which is why I was super drawn to her. Because I think the first doctor I met, I don't remember if we talked about this, but he was like just super awkward. It's like
Oh,
just he was nice, like he wasn't like rude or anything or off-putting. He was just like very socially awkward. And I
okay.
was like, yeah, I'm sure you're great at your job, but like I don't feel super comfortable.
Can't do this with you. Like, you know,
Yeah, like
relationship.
yeah, like respect, but like I'm gonna try something else. So
Yeah.
yeah. I really hope that she'll be available when it's time to get her out.
I held Jada in for, well, I tried to hold.
You
I
held her.
did not want my first OB in Alabama I was educating her on all of type 1 diabetes and like it just wasn't a good
Oh,
fit. And then
that's
I switched over
stressful.
to a male at 36 weeks and I loved him. And so I remember calling and being like, I think tonight's the night, Matt. And I called and I was like, who's on staff? And it wasn't him. And I was like, not tonight. Like, no, we can't do this. And he was awesome. I remember going in and they were like, Danica's in. He was across the street and he like ran over. He walked into the door. He was like, I'm here. I told you I would be. I'm here for you. I
That's
like,
amazing.
yeah. When you like find that like person that you're like, this is a big experience, right? Like you
That's
want,
exactly
yeah,
it.
like this isn't like just a random
It is
thing.
kind of intimate, like
Yeah.
it's like to a certain extent, and I think like I don't know. I can also like I'm not quite a control freak in the way that I'm like, okay, everything has to be exactly the way like it needs to be this and this, like here's a checklist. But as far as like my general experience, I'm like, this is like I want to be able to I'm a very like I visualize a lot. And I
Mm,
like to kind of like I try not to get too married to it
yeah.
because I know that it can not go that way. But I think like it's just nice to have that expectation of like, okay, this is possible to like have this play out this way. Um, and yeah, I'm just like I feel like I just want to be like one with the earth that day.
Yeah. Just create your comfort zone and just
Yeah.
hold that, right? Like I with Ben, I had like my only scare where we went in and then got sent home, and it was 100% the nurse they sent into triage. Like she was very like had to have been at the end of her shift, didn't want to deal with me, like had an attitude, was like very brusque with stuff. And like I had made Vic come home from work and everything was like this.
But you were like, sure.
And then as soon as like she started to do her like checks
Your
before,
body was like, nope.
like completely stopped. Where then I
Yeah.
sat there and I was pissed off because it was like a 30-minute drive to get there. And I was like,
Oh,
I haven't had a
no.
contraction in 20 minutes. It was like,
It's crazy. Well, like reading the
Yeah.
book, reading the NMA's like guide to like pregnancy or whatever it's called. I had read through a portion where like she was saying like, dude, your environment and like the energy there, like it can reverse labor if you're not, if it's not like, if the vibes are off,
Yeah.
your body will tell you. And like, it's just, I obviously am a firm believer in that because I'm a big energy person. So I just think it's so fascinating. I'm honestly so fascinated by all
Can't
this.
wait. You're gonna love it. Yeah.
That's probably why I'm so like kind of just chill about the whole thing because I'm like everything is just like fascinating me.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. I can't wait for you. I think it's gonna be great. Hopefully we'll do another one. So our time like got away from us with
I
however long it
know.
was between our first one and our second one.
Part
You
of
had
it was
a
my fault.
trimester.
And like, yeah, and then I had to like reschedule. The reason I had to reschedule was because of the
Oh,
stupid blood glucose test.
right.
But
We'll have to try and see if you're up for it. Otherwise, the next time we have you on, you might have a little baby attached to
I
you.
know. I just can't wait to see her little toes.
Yeah.
Her little lips. Oh my gosh. The one thing that we're super excited to kind of know is her eye color
Mhm.
because obviously I just want her to be able to see, like I just want them to work, you know? But his like if she comes out and opens those eyes and they are green like her dad's, I'm going to die in the hospital bed. Cause oh my gosh, yeah, that'll be a treat to see. It's funny, like that's like really the only thing we're curious about. Obviously, like we know she has everything that she needs to have as far as like her organs, her limbs, everything's good. But that'll be a nice little surprise. Cause
Yeah.
Yeah. And they always, so remember too, they, at least for mine, they always change a little bit too.
yeah,
Probably
So
be gray.
even hair,
a little
even
gray
hair
when
is,
she comes out. Yeah,
yeah.
Sometimes, not always, but if they're not, don't lose hope because they could change.
Oh yeah.
completely.
Ravenna was dark eyes and black hair. And
Yep.
Ravenna has bright blue eyes and she had strawberry blonde hair.
that's
And
crazy.
Yeah.
yeah.
When
So
Cora was born, her hair was Danica's color, and now
Really?
she's blonde. Yeah.
Oh my
wild.
gosh, that's wild. He does. He jokes. Because he has a little bit of like red in his beard.
Mm,
He's like, what if she's a ginger? I'm like, then she's gonna be the most beautiful ginger baby you've ever seen.
that's right.
Amazing.
Like the big curly red hair. Could you imagine?
Yes, how pretty. And green eyes. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Oh
That would
my
be too
God.
much. I love it.
But obviously, if she has brown eyes like her mom, she's gonna be just as beautiful. So
Of course.
yeah.
All right, my girl. Well, you go rest or do whatever
Mhm.
you need to do today. And we'll have to try and see if we can maybe get another one in sometime before.
We'll do a
late
holiday
November.
episode because she'll be here in time for like at least Christmas. She'll be here after she'll be here for Thanksgiving, hopefully, because that'll mean she's a little early, but
Right?
she'll be here for Christmas for sure.
Oh, and you had to get a little cute little turkey outfit with little feathers. I
He's
love
already
that
sent
stuff.
me like a link to like some cute little Mrs. Claus outfit. I'm like, I cannot.
Yeah. Oh, the pictures are gonna be too good. So,
I know.
hey guys,
Well,
we
thanks for
obviously go
listening to
on
us ramble.
forever, right? I feel back. We just let it run. We could probably have like a 3-hour podcast. So we will try and get Daraja on again because we always have so much fun. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
guys.